does it mean for you to be a charter member and a Starrsville Panther?
What does it mean to be a Panther? It carries a big weight. And I think a lot of times kids don't understand just how good of an education they're receiving until they get outside of this building. And so even for me as an educator, though, it means a lot because it carries a really big weight and a big name, you know, because people know who we are. But also as you go around the state, you know, when you go to meetings or when you're involved in different state level activities and you say, I teach at Starr's Mill, they're like, oh, you know, it means something. That name of Starr's Mill High School is known around the state for being successful in everything. We're successful in academics, we're successful in sports.
Well, you know, it's kind of amazing that there's still 9 of us here, I think, after almost 20 years. And, you know, I'm proud of what we built. It was very different. There were just 2 classes, just 9th and 10th grade, and you know, we had kids from McIntosh and kids from Fayette County. We had to get them to like each other and kind of merge and make a cohesive unit. And so we were very close. And you know, I still remember, you know, like Miss Killingsworth when she's such a baby. You know, some of those younger teachers that were here starting, and it's just, I think, proud that we've done such a good job and that, you know, we've continued as a school to do well and in all aspects. So.
Well, it was rough to begin with. You know, I don't know if you've talked to everybody who was the charter member about how bad it was, but the first couple of years were not good because we opened up with 9th and 10th graders. And so the 10th graders had actually gone, half of them had been at Fayette the year before and half of them had been to McIntosh, and they did not want to be at Starr's Mill. So it was really kind of dicey. And we opened up at the old Fayette County High School because the school wasn't ready. So that school, Fayette County High School, was new, and they had just started that school that same year that we opened. And the school literally was falling down. Like it would rain and the ceiling would fall in on top of the kids as they're sitting in a class or walking in. It was just crazy. So the first few months were really, really kind of a rough kind of thing. But everybody kind of banded together. So ultimately, it was kind of we're going to have to be a family. We're going to survive this, or we're all going to drown and kill each other. So, including the parents, you know, because the parents had to come together, the teachers had to come together, and then it turned out to be a great place. You know, now it's people want to be here. You know, kids want to be here. Teachers want to teach here. Because 2 years later, we had probably 15 teachers from the county request to come to Starr's Mill. Once they realized, oh, this is going to be a good place.
When we first opened, students came from, we opened with just 9th and 10th grade, and those students came from McIntosh. They had gone to 9th grade in McIntosh, and then they had to come over here for 10th grade. And then the ones that were coming from like Booth, they knew they were going to go to McIntosh, and then things change up and they have to come over here. And so it was not cohesive. There were big groups of, we don't want to be here, and we're going to fight with each other. We had brawls outside amongst kids, and as the years have gone by, it's become more and more and more cohesive and very spirited in a good way.
It was exciting to open the school. It's going to be sad when the day comes when I retire. But just being a Panther is just something that's been important to me. My children are all Panthers. They're Panther alumni, and it's just, I just love this place.
It means that you were here when this was dirt. I mean, Coach Moses and I walked around when the gym was a big hole in the ground, and just kind of experienced it from the beginning, from the talks about establishing traditions and beginning everything new and creating a legacy, and then, you know, hopefully when we retire, Starr's Mill will continue to be very successful because things are in place. And there's a culture here, and my 2 daughters have graduated from here, and it's one of the best high schools in the state. There's no question.
I guess there's a little bit of pride there when I don't really notice it until the end of the year during graduation. And I don't know if you've ever looked at a graduation program, but they have a little asterisk by your name if you're a charter member. And so there are just fewer and fewer charter members every year. And but like I said, I don't really notice it until the end of the year at graduation.
Okay, so what brought you to Starrsville in the first place?
I am a graduate of Fayette County High School, so I grew up in the county, and I wanted to be closer to home. I live in the county. I wanted to be closer to home. I taught at Jonesboro High School, and so once Starrsville opened, saw it as an opportunity to get a job here. Most teachers don't leave Fayette County, so it's hard to get a job.
It's a pretty good story. I was at work. I was working at Sandy Creek before, and my wife came to the game. This is before children, before anything. And we were going to go to the football game. My wife came in, went to the front office to talk with the secretaries that she knew there. And all of the secretaries were buzzing about the new school that was opening. And 10 minutes later, she came down and she had transfer papers for me. She said, "Todd, you're going to go work at Starrsville High School."
We got an opportunity that the head coach, the original head coach, Mike Yearwood, was my very first boss when I got out of college, and he got this job, and he offered us a position to come back and coach with him, and coach with Coach Griffin and Coach Mosley, and a lot of guys already knew. And there was a lot of excitement surrounding the opening of the school, and it was just seemed to be a great opportunity, and it has been.
It was an opportunity to be a head baseball coach. You know, I was an assistant at Fayette at the time, and so I decided, you know, it was a good time. Our assistant principal at Fayette had gotten the principal's job down here, Mr. Sweat, and so it was just sort of a good time, and worked out.
I was not teaching before. I was working for Delta. I've been working for Delta for 15 years as a computer programmer in the computer programming industry, and I was coming back into teaching. And so I was getting my recertification because I had taught before, and the school opened the year that I was coming back in. So that's actually how I ended up here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because nobody in the county requested to come to Starrsville to open up the school. So we had no experienced teachers from the county when we opened it up.
I was looking for an opportunity to have my own media center. Where I was before, I was at McIntosh, and I was the assistant librarian, media specialist, and I was just ready for a challenge. I'd gotten to the point in my career where I wanted something new and different, and I'd already opened a new school as an English teacher when Lovejoy High School opened. I was there opening that, so I'd been through it one time as an English teacher. So it was intimidating, but it was exciting, but it was very hard. I think looking back on it, you know, after we were into it after a year, it was like, this is so much work, because you have to define all of the school traditions and the alma mater, and, you know, just all of that kind of stuff you don't think about that goes with the life of a high school that's outside even just the regular program. It's kind of crazy, but it was fun.
What has kept you at Starrsville?
You know, I don't know. I think, you know, obviously it's a good place to be. It's a good place to coach. It's a great place to teach. You know, the kids, you know, the students are awesome. I've always gotten along with the coaching staff, the faculty, the administration's always been really good here. So, you know, it's just, there's not many places better than this in the state to teach or coach. So why leave when you got it good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love the place. I love the kids. I love, you know, we have really good parent support. The administration's been really, really good.
I think there's a lot of things that's kept me at Starrsville. It's most of it's the people. I work with a great group of people. The administration's extremely supportive, and the kids are great. I think, you know, there's no perfect school, and kids are always going to be kids, but I think the kids are fantastic. Their parents are very supportive. So I think it's the people that's kept me here the longest, just because of the support of the people here, everywhere from the teachers, administrators, to the parents and the kids.
Just the student body, the parents, the administrative support, the coaching staff in general. It's just, there's really nothing wrong with it. You know, we like to have, you know, we like to be able to compete for a state championship every single year, but, you know, that's not the situation we're in. But we've had great years here.
I guess it winds up being proximity. We are real comfortable in this area. My family, my direct family, doesn't live much farther away than my wife's family. They're in downtown Fayette. So it was just a good area for us to be in. At the time, 20 years ago, it was sort of in the country, and it's really been interesting watching the city sort of build around it.
The people I work with, the students, and I collaborate in the math department, and those teachers are amazing. And I've just really enjoyed my time here.
Starrsville is my family. All three of my kids came through here. The last one graduated in 2005. But I've had a lot of things take place in my life that were pretty tragic, and this was my lifeboat here. The faculty, the staff, even the kids, I mean, it's like a second family, and I love to see, even though I don't know all the kids like I used to, I still know names, and it's fun to put them to faces. And it's fun to see, like, if I call them up because they got an award for athletics, or I deal with honor cords and they get to come pay me for that. It's just fun to interact with the kids and see, you know, how it's changed from 1997 to 2007.
Well, I enjoy where I work, I enjoy the people I work with. Kids are great. My kids both graduated from here. I had one that graduated in 2008 and one that graduated in 2011. And so, I mean, you know, when you're at the best, why move? So,
How does the mill compare to other places that you've worked at?
It's very comparable. I've coached at 2 other high schools, and it's pretty comparable. What's unique about here is everything that's ever been done has been within the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, heck, we know of everybody that's ever graduated from here, and everybody that's played football here. You know, we know those, and there's a lot of guys that have played here that are now coaching in either college or coaching in high schools, and so that's kind of unique, and that's what's different, that you can go back to the very, very first football game that we ever played, you know, versus, you know, other places I've coached that were open 100 years before I coached there.
I've worked at 3 other schools, all high schools in 3 different states. I've one in this county. And to me, there's more of a togetherness. And I think that has a lot to do with just the caliber of the people that are here. And they all seem to really love being here. And so I think that's just been a big part of, you know, why I've enjoyed being here too.
The parent involvement is amazing here. Sometimes that's not always a good thing. Sometimes they can get in the way of you teaching, but it's definitely a
Here at
difference.
Starrsville, we do a good job of educating the whole child. We look at arts, we look at academics, we look at sports, and so I think we, you know, try to give kind of the whole child education versus maybe just an emphasis on one thing or the other.
What's one of the biggest changes you've seen at Starrsville?
Students are the same, except for the technology today. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's the biggest change.
That's the biggest change that you've seen?
Oh, by far. Oh, yeah. In 20 years, yeah. I had one of our students taught me to text one year. I didn't know what texting was. And she taught me that. I said, what is we talking about texting? She said, you don't know how to text? I said, no, I've never heard of it. She showed me how to text on my phone.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the biggest change.
The kids haven't changed very much because they're kind of the same. Technology is probably what has changed. The facilities have changed because we had no facilities we want to talk about since the beginning. We weren't scheduled to open up with any athletic facilities other than the gym. So the parents literally second mortgaged their houses to build us a football stadium. But fortunately the kids haven't. The technology probably is what has changed the most. That's changed a lot of things. But that hadn't changed just here, that's changed everywhere.
I think the biggest change is probably the students. And a lot of that has to do with just the change of society in general. You know, when we first opened, nobody had cell phones. So I think a lot of the technological changes has promoted the differences. And so I think that's probably the biggest change, but a lot of it has come from societal issues. You know, and I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I have opinions on that, but I'm not gonna, you know. I think, but technology is the one thing that has changed the most. And therefore it's influenced the kids the most. And so I think that's been the biggest change that we've seen.
facilities have changed a little bit. You know, I know the whole structure was here, but we've had just a lot of growth, and so, you know, like from extra playing fields to paths to walk,
Yeah.
even the growth of just trees and things like that. That's otherwise the clientele changes.
Yeah.
But it's just a big wheel that keeps on rolling. It doesn't, I mean, personnel can change, but biggest change really has been just the growth of the facilities.
I would say just the way that the parents kind of are overbearing with boys in particular, that they don't want their sons to get hurt playing athletics, or, you know, everybody gets a trophy mentality. It's become very pervasive, and it's a shame that everybody needs to experience some adversity. You need to experience some disappointment and defeat, because life is full of it, and the success of your life is gonna be determined how you handle adversity and how you handle negative things that happen to you, because that's life. I mean, bad things happen to people, and you've got to overcome, and you've got to have a relentless attitude, and you've got superior work ethic, and overcome those things. And we've got these parents now that don't let kids experience any failure at all, and they always push off blame to somebody else. And that's the main thing that's kind of hold on.
I hate that they've sort of changed traditions. The word tradition is tradition for a reason.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of things changed where they're saying, well, it's a tradition. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. The tradition was this. What you're saying is not the tradition. It's what you now want to become the tradition, which, you know, I get that too. The school gets older and times have changed, and you think, oh, this tradition's better. But that's hard for me, is that traditions are traditions for a reason.
The school has changed over time, definitely, but it's a great place to be, and very supportive, and administrative supportive wise, parent supportive wise, excellent students most of the time. So it means a great place to work.
So yeah, I mean, why would you leave? It's a great place to be. Teachers love it here, you know.
You're a Panther for life. I don't care if you've come here at all, you stay a Panther for life.